you for having me. This is my second time here today. Did anybody see me before besides you did? Okay, great. Hey, congratulations on the job. That's awesome, you know. That's the whole goal of things like this. And the reason that I agreed to do this is because Express, and you know, it's really my husband and I, feel it's very important for us to help in the community. And we want to make sure that the people who are living, working, and shopping in our community are able to do so. So Express Employment Professionals is a franchise. My husband purchased the company about 12 years ago, almost 13. He opened in Mequon, and we've been there ever since, same location, right next to the hair salon called Impressions and Joey Gerard's. So we're right tucked in the middle there. And I came on board about 5 years ago when we opened our Jackson office. And I had done outside sales for a number of other companies, and he asked if I would join the family business. So we swore we'd never work together. But so far, we're still married, and we still love each other, and everything is great. So, but when I joined the company, our target was this Washington County area. And the reason we were targeting this area is because we knew that there were a lot of good workers in this community and the surrounding community. So that was important for us to find those good candidates for our clients. When you work, who's worked with a staffing company before? Yes. So what was your experience, Arnett?
Well, with my current job, it is through a staffing company, which is Tech Systems, and they set up my interview with my current company while I was at my last company, and they, got me, different, jobs on this and phoned me, kind of.
So they were in communication with you to try to schedule interviews and try to get you out there into the community to try and find other work.
Right.
Yes.
And they did set up interviews for me, and they let me know, like with Rockwell Automation, where they're working with managers there to try to get me in, and the Northwestern Mutual thing happened, before the Rockwell. And so they were not just looking at one job, but they were actively,
pursuing other opportunities.
Right. And in some cases, like with Rockwell, of trying to kind of tailor the position to me, working with the hiring managers.
Right. So would you say that was a good experience?
Definitely.
Yeah. Who else has had an experience with a staffing company?
In HR, absolutely.
Yeah.
Use them all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
So the whole key to working with a staffing company is basically networking, getting out there and meeting more people. And I've heard it said a couple times tonight, a big part of finding another job is who do you know? And if I don't know them, who do they know? Staffing companies have a number of businesses, us personally, that we work with, hundreds of associates working on a daily basis. We have, countless accounts we're trying to fill with job orders, and our job is to bring in good associates to fill those positions. And it's not to just fill our database. Express is really, we are trying to make that first fit the right fit. When we meet with a client, the first thing I say to them is, it might take us a little bit longer, but we're trying to find that right person that's going to fit with your culture of your company, that's going to get along with the team you have in place, and can come right in and bounce with the rest of the team. So our goal is to find the right fit the first time. When you come into our office, a lot of people are intimidated by staffing companies because they think that we are just temporary assignments. For the 2/3 of our jobs on our books are temp to hire, meaning that client, like Rytech or Steelcraft or Hartford Finishing, whoever it might be, they are looking for a full-time permanent employee. So their goal to use us is that we have more feelers out there. We meet more people in a day than they can. When you're interviewing, you come in, you fill out an application, we drug test everybody, we update that every 6 months. That happens in our office, and you shouldn't be offended by that. It is something that we have to do now to make sure that everybody is safe in the work environment. The other thing that we do is we make sure that you're legal to work in the United States, so we're checking E-Verify. That is also another check for us. We want to make sure that we have citizens that are, have the right to work and be here. We do not do background checks anymore. That has since changed since the last time that I was here. There are too many claims out there. There's too many lawsuits. There's so many things that, you can really get in trouble for in regards to not assigning someone to a position. So our policy is now that we do not background check any of our associates. We do ask. We have people in our system that have criminal backgrounds, and that's the nature of the business. I'm sure you work with people that have a criminal background. You probably just don't know it. But we just decided, you know what, we're not going to do that check anymore. If the client is requiring that, then they can pay for it on their own, or, they might have to go elsewhere. We just decided we weren't doing that. We are calling references, though, and that was our trade-off. We've called references before, but we never truly really worried about getting that call back. You always hoped for someone to call you back, but now it's a requirement that we have to have for every associate in the system, has to have at least one callback, has to be a positive reference. So make sure that when you're coming in or if you're filling out applications, you're telling the people you're putting down for references that you're doing so, and that someone might call you and I'm looking for a job, so please help me out. Because you want them to be clued into what's going on. Might have to be confidential, so you might not be able to put down the person you want to, but you got a pastor, you have someone here, that would love to give you a reference that could help you out. So you go through that entire process with us, filling out an application, drug testing. You sit down with us and we interview you. We ask, a series of questions about what's the most important thing you've done in any of your careers? Did you, save the company money? Did you think of a new process? Those are the kinds of things that we want to use to sell you. Our job is to sell you to that client. And when we're looking at associates, we want to make sure that, like I said, we don't want to just fill our database. We're looking for that right fit. So when we have, Dan come in our office, Dan, we've already seen your resume or talked to you a little bit to kind of get a feel for what you're doing or where you've worked. So we already have a thought in our head about, he might be good for here. When I go out and do sales calls, my job is to do tours, to look at the demographic of the company, who's working there, what are the jobs, is it a clean place, do I want to send my employees here? When we finally get that job order, I bring my staffing consultant out because she's going to be the one that's interviewing you and saying, okay, I want to tell you about this place. I know a lot of staffing companies don't meet everybody they send over. That's another thing that's different about us, is we meet and talk to everybody. It's an hour, 15 minutes for me. I do a long interview. It's an hour and 15 minutes probably. But that way we get to know you. We want to learn your personality. Who are you? I spoke to a gentleman today, just over the phone. He forwarded me his resume. Very skilled, qualified, professional individual. Owned his own company. He can make a lot of money. But he came with a lot of baggage. And he kind of just spilled that all on me. And I had to caution him that if you're going to talk to a potential boss, don't spill your guts immediately. Sometimes they don't need to know everything. Let them meet you. Let them first figure out you can do the job. Don't spill all your baggage for them to pick up. Because really people don't care. If they're looking for you to fill the job of sales, then do your job. This is what the requirements are. Don't tell me all this other stuff. I don't need to know that right now. And that's hard for people to recognize, especially if they've been in a job for a long time. They feel disgruntled. They feel rejected. And it's different now. It's really different than, and I'm looking around the room, we're all about the same age. It's different for us now to go out and find a job than it was, 25 years ago when we first landed our jobs. You don't go in and fill an application out anymore. It's all done online. So we have to change the way we do things. We have to change the way we think. I'm trying to think. So once we get through the process of getting you in our system, you also take a skills evaluation. That kind of helps us understand whether you get concepts or not. It's 5 math, filing, comparison, and ruler. It's simple, you know, but it just allows us to know where are you. Some individuals who come in do not do very well on the test. We ask them to do it again, take more time. We want to give everybody a fair shot and make sure that they are, just read it. So once we get through that process, that's when we put together a profile, and you will come with a resume most definitely, and we'll put those two pieces together, forward that off to the client that we've already been thinking you might be good for, and hope for an interview. The profile is something we do ourselves. I don't know of any other staffing company that does that. It's kind of a synopsis of the interview. So it's our personal thoughts of what happened during that interview. We also do another scoring, which I'm sure other companies do. It's called APBI, Appearance, Behavior, Personality Initiative. So when you walk in for that interview, did you come dressed, prepared? Did you have everything you need? Was your phone ringing? Were you on the phone? Those are all soft skills you want to be very careful about when you're coming into a company to interview. How was your personality? You know, did you feel like you wanted to be there, or were you just kind of doing it because I need to do my 2 things today, so I'll go in here and do it? Really come with a good attitude. So once we've done all that whole process, we profile you out, we get you in for the interview, then it's up to you to really bring it back in. And the nice thing also about working with a staffing company is we can give you insight into that company that maybe no one else can. I have one company where I've placed numerous administrative candidates. I want to work there almost, because they're so good to their employees and they're kind of casual. You don't have to dress up every day, and just really good group of people to work with. So when you work with a client like that, they're easy to sell. You know, then you're like, okay, I want, you know, them to work there. So I want to tell them everything I know about it. I want them to be excited about it. And then I have to go back to my client and I have to be excited, you know, for Dan or for Arnett. I can't read that far away. Dave. So it's our job to do that, to sell you to our client. And the best way to do that is for you to sell yourself to us. So go in with confidence. You know, don't be a sad sack. Things happen to everybody. You know, we have to move on. We have to get past it. And you know, the other thing is, you have to figure out, where do I want to go from here? I've had machinists come and sit in my chair to interview, and you know, they're making good money. Well, they were making good money, but now they're laid off. You know, they could have been making $26, $27 an hour as a machinist, which is awesome. But they come out of that environment and they're like, I'm worth that much now. And it might have been a union shop, you know, all these things, but it's not like that anymore. They're not worth 26, 27 at X. They might have been at Y. So you have to adjust the way you think. And I know it's hard. It is a full-time job, looking for a job. Are there any questions?
How do you see things for 2016?
In regards to,
Job opportunity?
there are a lot of jobs out there. I gave you a sheet, that's not even half the jobs we have in our system. There are a lot of jobs. It's a matter of transferable skills. That's the other thing I would say is important. When you're talking to somebody about what you did, I had a guy tell me today, what did he tell me? He was a piler? Does anybody know what a piler is? I'm like, what do you mean you were a piler? Well, I was a piler. I operated the piler machine. I said, well, what does that do? You know? He's like, well, it's a piler machine. I said, well, what does it do? He goes, well, it coats things. Oh, okay. So you have to speak a language that people understand. So, you know, he coded, I don't know, parts, whatever. So then I could relate to him, because then I'm thinking, oh, coding. Okay, I know now what he does. So you might be technical. I have a feeling, Arnett, you're very technical. But you have to be able to speak the same language as the people you're trying to work with. I think the job market is on the uptick right now. We see our phone ringing a lot more. Christmas is bad. It's dead. It's like December doesn't even exist. It's bad. So we had people working, but it was not like these last 2 weeks, a lot of calls coming in. So those are all good things.
How do
Yes.
you want people to make a first contact with your company? Do you want them to approach you online, in person, on the phone?
However they feel most comfortable. Typically what we have people do is they'll call us and they'll, you know, do you have jobs available? If you've been to our website, you know we have jobs available. So you can go online, you can fill an application out online. Once you've filled that out online, I would suggest to call then this office you're looking to have an interview at and say, I did my online application. When do you foresee me getting an interview?
When you fill out an application, I submitted one to Mequon, do all of your locations see that application?
All the offices associated with Mequon. So our Jackson office saw that as well.
Okay.
And that's why I put that email out that said, I will speak with Dawn. She's mine. So yes, now with Express, we are international. And we have other offices in Milwaukee and Wisconsin. So you could have submitted your application to Brookfield, Waukesha. You could have submitted your application to Texas if you wanted to.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's wherever you want to try to find that position. Yep. If you know, and what I would suggest too, you would have to fill another application out, or I should say an interview process. If you come to Mequon and you interview with me, and then you say, oh, there's a job in Brookfield I want to apply for. It's a different office. But we forward your information over, you interview with them.
Okay.
Just because our computers don't talk to each other that way.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
Cindy, what jobs do you specialize in, basically, at your...
Well, our office specializes in light industrial, administrative, and mid-level management. Now, we do have controller positions, we do have project manager positions. It is really focused on the client and what their need might be, but for the most part, we're filling a lot of that industrial need.
Okay.
Administrative, you know, data entry, those types of positions.
But you also would interview people for exempt positions, for instance?
Yes.
As well.
Yes. And that I guess I should clarify a little bit on that. What I like to do in those instances, like this salesman that owned his own company, I didn't interview him yet. I'm going to put my feelers out there first. I talked to him on the phone, I have his resume, I'm going to call somebody I know and say, hey Chris, I know this is your business, I got this guy, what do you think? Let me send you his resume. Sure. And then if he's like, yeah, let me see him, then I'm going to interview. And typically for that higher skilled, or I guess I shouldn't say, well, it is higher skilled, more management level, we want to be careful about bringing all these people in and not, what if I can't help you?
Right.
And why would I waste your time?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes.
Cindy, do you give guidelines to people when they're asked a question by a potential employer about making a point effectively within a reasonable amount of time?
Well, I'll tell you, it's hard to rein people in when they're passionate about some subject. So, yes, we try to do that. If I have individuals in my chair that are going on and on and on about one thing, I might say to them, you know, this is what I would need to know in regards to that, then we don't need any more information. So we try to be kind and tactful, but of course, people are people. They're going to do and talk, you know, however they want to. The book that I handed out to you guys is kind of a nice little feature in regards to, you know, kind of guiding you on the steps of a new job, or if you're looking, you know, what are your interests? What do you want to do? How do you make a resume? How much money do I need to make? You know, those are all key questions. When I have someone sit in my chair, I ask them, what is your absolute bottom line in regards to money? Because it's not that I want to lowball them, but I want to know how much I can negotiate with my client. You know, if I know my client said, I can't have anybody at 18, can't go that high, no way, and you're saying, well, I need 19, I say to you, Dave, they're starting at 18. This is their insurance package. What do you think? You can say yes or no. You don't pay us any fees either. Those are all covered by the client. So our goal is to get the person working, you know, because that's where we make our money. Yes?
Cindy, if you don't specialize in the type of employer that I'm probably hoping to land at, how do I go about finding someone who really takes the same type of approach rather than just advertises positions and collects names and you never hear from them more than one phone call?
Right. I think in regards to, I think you can work with a staffing company even if that's not our specialty. The reason I say that is because we know so many people in the community, and it's Zaki, Washington, Northern Milwaukee. You never know. You know, my husband was the president of the Mequon Thiensville Chamber. He was the president of the Sunrise Rotary. He is in Boy Scouts, which he knows everybody. So there, you know, and I'm on the Greater Jackson Business Alliance board. You know, we have West Bend Chamber. So it's our job is to get out into the community. It's that marketing, because you need to get your feelers out so people know you're there. But when people know we're here, they come and tell us stuff. You know, this controller position, Terry found out about at the Y. He, you know, we're running on the treadmill. You know, oh, we could use a controller. Can you guys help us with that? Of course we can help you with that. So it's really about the connections, the networks you're doing, you know, that kind of a thing. This is great because you're getting into, you know, might not be a lot of people here, but that doesn't mean that these people don't know people that then know people that need you. So that is key. I've been trying to tell my two kids, I was just talking about this with Vicki and Kelly. I have two kids, well, I have three children, but my two oldest, one is 25. He's out of college on his own, finally doing his thing. We have another daughter. She just graduated a couple weeks ago from UW-Madison. We know nothing. You know, at 22, we know nothing. Our 25-year-old is now coming back going, well, Dad was really right about that, you know. So it's the networking. It's who do you know? He calls us all the time now. He just texted me the other day, what's the name of that guy who, you know, fixed my car when I could only pay him $100? You know, I mean, okay, who had that connection? Right, exactly. Well, now it's going to cost him $800. But, so it's really about the networking. And it's not about crying on everybody's shoulder. You know, it's more about, hey, I'm looking for a job. What about LinkedIn? Are you on LinkedIn? Okay, that's good. I was thinking you guys should get a Twitter account.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, because people could start to follow you on Twitter,
Right.
and you know, tell you that you're having this event tonight.
Right.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Cindy, the jobs that were listed here, if we were to go to expresspros.com, Mequon, Wisconsin, would these show up?
Yes, and more.
And more? Okay.
Yeah, this is kind of an example of what we take to job fairs when we go, or if we have, we do a lot of job fairs at, say, hotels, and we'll advertise and we'll bring these along so that we can kind of guide people through the process of these are the jobs we have. We interview usually at job fairs right away and do the whole procedure right there. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Just one other comment. I think Bruce's question about would you be able to find something in his field? I think what is important about that is if he talks to you,
mm-hmm.
you will know that he's out there.
Exactly.
And then you may know somebody
right.
that was looking for someone, or you may say, I think I'll call Bill over here at XYZ,
right.
because they do that sort of thing.
Right.
And that might help. So
exactly.
that would be valuable.
Having a resume is important because then I can read through it and go, oh, well, wait a minute. And like I said, transferable skills. help me understand. I know resumes are so full of information, but help us understand what it is you really did. Don't use so many technical terms that I'm lost and I can't help you, but use enough to know that if I tell someone you know how to do this, they're going to be like, yeah, that's what I need. It's a fine balance. It's hard, I know.
Well, my experience with these jobs that come through Indeed or LinkedIn
Yes.
or someplace, you know, here are 25 jobs that look just perfect. This company's looking for people just like you.
Yeah.
And then you go and read it, and then once in a while you find one that actually does look like it's something that matches
Yeah.
your ability and skill, and then it's almost always a staffing company. It seems
Right.
like. So you send all this, you spend a day and a half putting everything together in the way they want it, and then you might get a phone call, and then you never hear from them again.
Right.
Because they don't follow up.
Right.
And
Was it a real job? We have no idea, right? We don't even know if it was a real job.
well, I have seen the same jobs almost word for word advertised in different companies, so I kind of think it's a real job, but I don't know
Yeah.
if
And
they really have.
it's dueling staffing companies.
Yeah.
Who's going to get them first? That's really what it is. And so they might be doing, I know this happens because it happened to us. I presented a gentleman to a local company in West Bend, and then I always follow up with a phone call. Hey, I just faxed over dude one, whatever, take a look. And he calls me back and he says, yeah, dude one was just presented by XYZ company about 3 minutes after you. I called dude, who I interviewed, and said, hey dude, are you working with this other staffing company too? Because that's okay, but we need to know because we don't want to be embarrassed. He said, no, I don't even know who they are. Where are they located? So what they do is they grab resumes off the internet and they submit to their client. And then if their client says, yeah, I want dude number one, then they're like, okay, we got to get dude number one in here to interview now. So it's very frustrating. With Express, that's the thing, because we're independently owned, each owner can do things a little bit differently in regards to their processes. But for the most part, we all have to do it the same because it's a legality issue. So it's a personality thing too. So if you're going to look for a job, through Cindy, let's just make believe you interview with me, and you give me your resume, you can still go to another staffing company and have them search for you too. Those are all good things to do, but it's good to let us know. Because if we submit you to a client, both the same client, you might be excluded because you're double dipping. So clients don't want to see that, But part of working with Express is that we know everybody. We've met everybody. We're not going to just send over your information. I did disclose to this one company, the sales guy that I talked to today, I did send his information over, but I talked to him on the phone. I kind of told him what I was going to do. And he's like, yeah, that's fine. And he's so high skilled, he'd be happy with any connection. So in my mind, and I think his and my clients, it's a networking thing. If this guy works for you, great, we'll get him in then. And it's full disclosure. I'm not going to do this behind your back, So what do you do? What is your specialty?
It was called data specialist the last time I had.
What does that mean?
I work with reports and I pull data out of different computer systems and try to sometimes shove it into other computer systems that anyway try to match things up so that the data actually means something.
So,
and I also did tech support.
Okay.
For other.
So you're analyzing data to spit it out in another format for another company? Okay. So that's hard for me to get. We'd have to talk through that more. You know what I'm saying? But that's the important part, is that we figure out what it is that you did so that when we talk to our client, we're confident that, yeah, you know what you're doing. You worked in tech support as well? Or
As part of the same.
as part of the job? Okay. We don't have a lot of tech jobs, our office. But that doesn't mean that the other Express offices don't. I don't know what they all have. We have one in Brookfield, downtown, Waukesha, South Side, Racine. They're all over. So depending on how far you want to travel and what your requirements are, we might be able to help you. Plus, I have another staffing company that I know about that does tech. I used to work with this gal. She was a human resource manager for a company we worked with. She's now working for a staffing company. So, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to giving your information to her to see if she could help you. You know, why should I hinder you from finding a job if I know somebody who could help you? So
an express question for you.
mm-hmm.
You have your own franchise.
Yep.
But do the positions get listed on the big site for express?
What happens is we have our own website, Express/Mequon, and then those jobs are pulled from our website to Indeed, which we talked about, Indeed. Indeed and some other internet-based websites out there pull information, but not always all of it, and not all of it the same. So we have to be careful because sometimes they'll pull your jobs and it'll be not really you, it's different. But Indeed is one of ours. And if you go to Express Pros, no/Mequon, all the jobs will show up for all the Mequon, or for all the Express offices in wherever you choose to look. You choose your state, city, that kind of a thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Anything else for Cindy?
I have one question. What would hinder you from using a staffing company?
Not that some of your positions are permanent right away, right?
We typically, if we have a direct hire, which is what we call that, it is disclosed that way. Most of the times, companies are doing an attempt to hire.
That would scare me maybe away from using a staffing company.
Gotcha.
I don't want that attempt to
Yeah.
hire if thing.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because
Devil's advocate, yes.
Because I guess if I'm going to accept a job, I want to know that they want me and they're confident to hire me from the get-go. Not this, I need to look at you for 90 days first.
Mm-hmm.
But isn't typically when you get hired from a company, wouldn't they have that 90 days?
You have a probationary period anyway.
So
Just from an HR standpoint, you can be fired anytime for any reason,
for up to
other than for any time.
Right.
In Wisconsin, provided they're not discriminating.
But
So that really doesn't mean a lot.
That's a different category than you're being fired, and then you're.
Well, I'll be the angel on her other shoulder. You don't want to give up a full-time gig
No,
with
that's-
full-time
Exactly.
benefits
That's the
for a temp job.
Exactly,
That's
exactly.
the difference.
But if the opportunity were better on the opposite side of the street, wouldn't you at least want to take a look at it? You don't have to quit your other job. You know what I mean? It's worth looking at. Everything is worth looking at. No skin off your nose if you're going to go to this interview. You already have a job. Psst. I'm just going to go look. You're going to walk in there and you're going to know if this is the place for you. And they'll know if you're right for them too. A lot of times companies can't hire you on right away. They don't have the money. They are on a hiring freeze, but they know they need staff, and in 6 months they're going to have the money, job's going to come in, and they'll be able to hire you. So there's a lot of reasons why companies don't hire you directly right away. To be honest, a lot of times it is because, I don't want to pay them benefits. I don't want to. But we offer that. We offer health benefits. We offer the Affordable Care Act extension, which you need to have to not be taxed at the end of the year. We offer all of those things. And they're pretty reasonable. I mean, it's not the best insurance, but it is insurance. It helps you get through to when you can afford something a little bit better.
The other thing that could happen in your situation, for instance, you could take that temp to hire job, and let's say they didn't hire you, they said we don't have the money. Well, then you're back on the market and they're looking for another job for you.
Right.
So, you're not sitting out there
Yes.
with nobody helping you out.
Yeah.
So-
We're your advocate. We have a lot of people that come back to us a couple years later. Actually this last year, 2015, we've had a lot of people come back and go, well, I'm still working, but I'm not getting a raise, and I just want to know what else is out there. So we can be searching for work for them while they're at work. We call them and we say, hey, we have this. What do you think? You know, you're not required to take anything. We're offering you something. If you don't want it, that's okay. You know, you can say no. It's fine. We'll keep looking. Might not be the right fit.
Why do companies use staffing companies? My company would never allow that. No, that's what we pay you, Lori, for. You go find them.
Mm-hmm.
You fill the positions in our company.
I know why we use them,
Why do you use them?
because it's easier, I think, to get applicants in.
Right.
Seek,
Yeah.
and that's how I got your name.
Mm-hmm.
I use you too.
Yeah.
And it's easier to get qualified applicants right away.
Because we see way more people in a day than you could see in a month. You know, seriously. We see a lot of people. The girls in our office should be interviewing 4 to 5 people a day. So, and that's been tricky because, you know, the market is pretty tight out there. People that really want to work are working. So it's been hard to find good candidates, which is why we're happy people are coming back, because they're not happy. And then we know that that client's going to need a fill. Do you know what I mean? It's a backfill. So we're like, oh, well, if we help them, you know, this guy find a job, he's higher skilled and more qualified now, and I know this company will pay him, and I have general labor I can send over there. That'll be fine. They want to save money. We see more people. I think that the misnomer is that we cost so much money. If you figure out the cost to have an employee on your payroll, insurances, liability, you know, the benefits, all that kind of stuff, it's way cheaper to pay us than to have that on your books. And a lot of companies use a staffing company just for payroll. You know, they will have you come through us, we write your check, but you're their employee. We just write your check. That's all we're there for. But while we're writing your check, we also offer you health, we offer you holiday, vacation, all of those types of things too. So I mean, it's kind of nice because you can kind of double dip a little bit. Once you reach so many hours, you earn vacation time. And if you reach a certain amount of hours, you get holiday pay. So we're like a real company in regards to offering those things. It just might take a little bit longer to get there. Mm-hmm. Why do you think your company wouldn't use a staffing company?
We do for our warehouse, but as far as clerical and,
So how do you find your candidates? Is that your job, is to hire them?
yes,
Mm-hmm. So how do you find your people?
put the ad out there, Monster, Hot Jobs, MilwaukeeJobs.com.
Mm-hmm. And how are the candidates when you know, how are you feeling about the candidates when they're coming in? Are they good?
Frustration there, yeah. Wasted, you know,
Right.
a day of my,
Right. Which is another reason to use us, because we're not wasting your time. You know, we're going to interview in advance. We're going to know this person is not right for you. Do you know what I mean? We're going to cut through all that frustration. Yeah.
so many of us look good on paper. And,
Right. Right. I had a gal, it was really funny, because she filled out a resume and forwarded it back to us that she was customer service and did all this great stuff at a client we work with. But she was hired on her own. But she had her resume out there and she actually applied with us. And when I brought her in to interview, I said, oh, so you work for this company? Yes. What did you do? Oh, I did customer service. Well, how did you do that? What was your process? What was your day like? Well, it ended up where she was just a picker. She picked orders in the warehouse. She did not do, and the only reason I could know that is because I worked with the company already. I know the job. So I place people there. It's like, so you have to be careful. Don't lie. You know, don't stretch the truth so much that it's like, you know.
Transferable skills doesn't mean.
Exactly.
I've been at my company for 40 years.
40. 40.
Yes. Is
That's
that
awesome.
Should I not put dates on my resume?
No, you need,
I think,
you need to put dates on your resume.
because I think a lot of people see that and get
Well,
turned
I'll
off.
tell you what we see when we look at that. We see longevity, we see loyalty, we see commitment. So there's other adjectives that we see.
Positives.
Exactly. What companies are going to see is, how much money does she make? She's been there a long time. Will she want to learn? You know, those kinds of things. And those are things that we can talk through during an interview.
Okay.
You know, Yes, I'm eager to learn. I've been doing the same thing for 40 years. I want to know something new, you know, stuff like that. And if you want to do a mock interview, call me up. We do them all the time. Anything else?
All right, Cindy, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.